Yo, BJ Gaddour with the BJ Gaddour podcast. And today I'm going to be sharing my top 16 highlights from the 2024 Paris Olympics. Now, 16 days, I've got 16 highlights. I'm going to be missing, I'm sure, many of the great moments, but these really are what stood out to me. Wanted to kind of break them down. And ultimately, I think this is the most memorable Olympics of my lifetime. I've seen a lot of them. I think maybe the closest one, maybe 96, the Atlanta games. But I don't know, something about this Olympics really, really hit. And I think it was especially because of coming off of the 2021 COVID Olympics. You know, many people were saying that the Olympics may have been the best of the Olympics coverage might be behind us from how low the viewership was, et cetera. So it was great to get this explosion of entertainment, competition, talent during the summer here, usually the dog days of summer. And I'm going to share the highlights. Also going to talk about the 2028 LA games as well. So if you're coming in live, drop in your favorite moment from these games. I mean, there's so many. I know I'll forget one or two, sure, here, but this was just an incredible, as I alluded to in the previous live where I kind of jumped in like in the first 4 days of what was going on here. The coverage by NBC Peacock was incredible. I think Mike Tirico may have made one mistake. Snoop Dogg was everywhere. They really great storylines. How they put this all together just kind of blows my mind. So I really appreciated it. And I think to start, or before I start, I'd appreciate a like, share, subscribe. Lots of great stuff coming down the pipeline here. Our YouTube memberships launch 9/1/24 very shortly here on Labor Day weekend. 3-tier options are available. I did a poll. I appreciate you guys participating in that poll in terms of what was resonating the most. But basically, there's a $2.99 per month benefactor. Just help us keep the lights on. A $4.99 per month insider membership where you get early access to public content. So, because I load this stuff up in advance of when it's posted, but you'll be able to see it then. Also get an exclusive live stream. You can ask me questions, troubleshoot what's going on with your fitness, nutrition, etc. And then the top tier, which is $19.99 per month, $19.99 per month, the VIP, which allows you to get a priority reply to comments through video and actual written replies, and exclusive members only content that's ad free. All the public content will remain with ads, but the members only content I make will come ad free. And then also a monthly training plan or challenge. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I really appreciate your support. A lot of effort goes into this, and we need you guys to help us keep this coming and take it to the next level. And again, my YouTube content publicly will continue as it's been. So you're not going to lose anything. You can only gain and help us do this bigger and better, etc. And then also check out my new Gorilla Corn coffee and protein blend. I start the day with this. The protein is phenomenal. It's clean. It's tasty. It's a nice, smooth vanilla flavor. And we've got each scoop is 30 grams, which is what you need to flip on that muscle protein synthesis switch. Both fast absorbing whey and slow absorbing casein. And the coffee is just incredible for focus, brain health, cognition, memory learning. Check it out. Link in description. I think you guys will really dig it, and limited supplies in that as well. So the first thing that stood out to me, and I actually forgot to talk about this when I jumped on a quick live last week, was the Celine Dion performance. Now, if you haven't seen the documentary that she just released called I Am, basically that was one of the hardest things I ever had to watch because essentially, you're talking about arguably one of the greatest singers, musical performers of all time, just an angelic voice, incredible voice. And she was recently diagnosed with stiff person syndrome, and it's the closest thing I can describe to it is, again, it's neurological. It's the stiffening of the muscles and body. And in that documentary, again, it's hard to watch, but man, if you're looking for some perspective and an appreciation for your health and the gifts that we take for granted every day, it blew my mind. My wife and I were in tears watching it, particularly towards the end when you actually see her go through one of these episodes, which is triggered by her singing and performing. The stress of performing can put her in that type of state, and it's scary, and you can die from it. And she's got, luckily she's very successful and wealthy from all the work she does. But man, it really just like, I couldn't believe it. And I watched this after I saw her remarkable Olympics performance on the Eiffel Tower, as they were lighting the torch and everything else like that. And again, it was in French. You don't have to know French to know that's some of the best singing you'll ever see. And just the power and the performance. I mean, she really is like, you want to find someone out there that like loves what she does and truly brings joy in being a show person, lighting people up. I mean, it really, that's her gift. And I was just blown away. And I had heard she was having some health issues, but I didn't really appreciate it until I watched the documentary. I'm like, wow, like hopefully she's okay after the performance, because she's also been unable to sing. Like she's still like, even in this condition, especially today where anyone can really sing with, auto-tune and production, but still she can out-sing anyone of the average entertainers out there. But she has a standard, and just to watch her talk about how she's unable to maintain those standards anymore, see her come out with this condition, and just totally set the tone for the whole games. The best in the world together, one of the best singers of all time, inarguably. Whether she's the best or not, you can argue, but it was incredible. I really recommend you check out that documentary called I Am, where she just talks about what she's going through and how she's managing it. And, we have a lot of people here that have been following me for a long time. We age together. And as you approach midlife and further, things can get tough. Health conditions come up, and just things are more challenging than they used to be. And, we're always chasing our prime or what we did when we were young. And so I just thought it was incredible. So I just had to touch on that. What a way to start the games. And obviously, French Canadian, she killed it. Second highlight, USA basketball in general. This was, I saw clips of the Dream Team in '92, saw, some of the games. I watched this time through because I really know I was watching something special. On the men's side, this was likely the last time we'd see LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant play, especially together. First time actually seeing all those three guys together, who were like the three top players of their generation. The women's side, I mean, this is their 8th straight gold medal, men's 5th straight gold medal. It's an American game. The world has never been this close. And but I watched all the showcase games, watched every game start to finish, rewatched a couple of the quarters or games that really stood out. I have my little my sled tread here where I'm doing my sledding, my backward sledding in particular. And as I was watching at least the first half, still getting my cardio and my knee health stuff. So, but it really just like, this was some of the best basketball I've ever seen. And first of all, I really prefer the international style of play. The games are shorter, which I guess adds a little more impact and pace, but it's more physical. And, so I'd like to see the NBA be less about drawing fouls and just playing good physical, hard basketball, the way I like to play it when I play, ticky-tack fouls and flopping, all that stuff. That's where I think the NBA has really needs to, address that, because the physicality of the international game was beautiful to watch. That's why you'd love to see it. Jeff Pierce, welcome, man. Men's, women's basketball, both beat France. That was also part of it. Amazing. You get to play the host country, maybe the most intense away game you'll ever play. Host country trying to be the underdog and beat, Goliath, which is, the USA basketball program. We've had a couple, the women haven't, but the men had that disaster in 2004 that made them have kind of that come to Jesus moment and again, bring the best talent out there. But the two games that I'll never forget, I will never forget these games. The semifinal against Serbia, I think maybe the best basketball game I've ever seen, the best international game I ever saw, where the USA was down by 17 at one point against the best player in the world, Nikola Jokic, and a couple other NBA players in there as well, guys that have been playing together for years, that just this is their Super Bowl. This is their moment to beat these guys that had, just come together about a month ago, even though they're the most talented in the world. Again, short games, physical games, anything can happen in a tournament style play, which is like in a 7-game series, no one will ever, I think, beat the US as long as they keep this level of focus on having a good national program and bringing the best to play. But this, it's like March Madness. Anything can happen in a single game. Bad shooting night, other team plays out of their mind. Some close calls, even in the showcase. Barely beat South Sudan by 1. LeBron had to put a game-winning layup together. So the world has really caught up, which is beautiful. That's what this is all about, right? Showing we've got and elevating the play around the world and getting to be a global game. So that was exciting. But the fourth quarter, where they went into the fourth quarter down 11 or 13, and to see all of these guys come together and just start in their role. KD, just besides Steph Curry, who else you want shooting a shot in the mid-range or even outside? 7 feet tall, you can't block it, smooth. LeBron just barreling to the basket, setting everyone up. And finally, like, you can see what it's like to have LeBron with some actual shooters around, like people actually make the shots. He's like a quarterback out there, but just willing himself, picking up Jokic on defense, the physicality, and then Steph Curry finally breaking out of that shooting slump and scoring 37 points, really keeping the U.S. afloat to make it to the final. And then in the final, that 2-minute period in the fourth quarter, France scores a bucket. They're down 3, get it to 3 points. Anything can happen at this point. The crowd is going crazy. And he hits 4 consecutive 3-pointers in a matter of 2 minutes. The final one, many are calling the defining shot of his career, when there's been so many shots. Greatest shooter of all time, greatest 3-point shooter of all time. But I think now, like, maybe arguably one of the most clutch performers ever. A step back shot against a double team of big, long, tall defenders. And again, those 4 shots didn't hit anything but net. It was absolutely mind-blowing. The go to sleep celebration. And, but man, France pushed it. And also, shout out to France as the host country. This was a phenomenal Olympics. I mean, really, I think they, like I alluded to at the beginning of the show, like we had thought this was the last, maybe the last best Olympics was Rio, where like people really engaged. And, but this one, I think, really set it up not only for 2028, but I think beyond. Just an amazing showcase of athletics, competition, sportsmanship, coming together, getting rid of all the toxic bullshit, online, offline, politics, whatever, and just, inspiring and pushing it to the limit of what's possible with the human mind and body. So that was phenomenal. I'll never forget those 2 games. And just that final stretch of 4 threes by Steph. It's just one and done, but incredible. And the women, I mean, wow, to go 8 straight golds. They haven't lost, I think, in 60 games. Really have set the standard of excellence. And man, those women they really played incredibly. I watched most of the games too, and just incredible performances. The MVP, both the MVPs on the men's and women's side were American players. It was just, I don't know, it just stood out. Number 3, Leon Marchand. I mentioned him briefly in the live I had done previously, but he had basically what I would equate a Michael Phelps level of performance in this Olympics. I think 4 golds. He's the host country, that type of thing. I mean, he just seems like a quite unassuming guy, but the excellence he displayed, kind of this of a one-time Olympic performance, it'll be hard pressed to find a better one-time Olympic performance than what he put out in Paris. Damon says, great to see real competitive basketball for men and women. It was just an incredible, and again, like France almost, they pushed it close to at the end of the game. The women barely pulled that out. They won by 1 point. The French team tried to shoot a 3, but they were on the line and lost by 1. They could have tied the game and taken overtime. And again, anything could have happened at that point. But, again, I think to that point, the standard, like silver would have been a disaster, right? The pressure that comes with, being the best and expecting nothing but gold is crushing. And, I mean, we saw Steph struggle for the first 4 games, and finally he broke out of it. Luckily, we needed to, but anything's possible in these games. So really incredible. And it's interesting that going to Leon Marchand as our number 3 highlights. And by the way, like he missed some of these, like check out some of these events when you see them, like clearly the best in the water or on the court. And Michael Phelps' coach is also Léon Marchand's coach. So obviously he identified some real talent there. But he had games for the ages, and seems like a real classy guy. Did incredible work, and man, to be able to do that as the host country is pretty incredible. Number 4, the Katie Ledecky career. Arguably the GOAT of women's swimming at this point, the most medals. And then she's got just her definitive races like that. I believe it was the 1500 meter where she's not even, there's no competitors in the frame when she finishes. I mean, she's to a whole new level of mental, physical preparedness beyond, having the gifts to do well at these events. She was incredible. And again, doing it at an advanced age when it comes to athletics, you got to give her some real props for that. And I do wonder if she's going to find her way into the 2028 games. She wasn't able to win. I think, was it the 800? She lost to the Australian swimmer. I forget her name, Titmus. So the competition is coming up, and again, she's not getting any younger, but if there's anybody who can come back and do it again, I do think some of these U.S. players, LeBron, KD said, they said that this is the one, and this is it for them. They can't see themselves coming in 2028, but we'll see what happens when it rolls around. If they're healthy and able, even just to be kind of like, locker room guys, just veteran leadership, who knows? But it is a unique opportunity, as we saw with Léon Marchand, to do this in front of your home crowd. So, but Ledecky just, again, defines excellence in the water. And also it was fun to see her cheering, because swimming finishes first and we kind of move into more track. Seeing her engaged in the stands and just cheering on the team was also pretty cool. Simone Biles, another GOAT, coming back from the mental health withdrawal in the 2021 games, with all the expectations of coming through, led the team this in 2024 now to gold, won more medals in individual events, and got through a calf injury, which again, I don't know how you do things like floor and vault with all these jumping and landing forces with any sort of calf injury, which opens you up to Achilles injuries as well. But she found a way, and competition, again, it's closing in on her for sure, but we'll see if she'll decide to come back and do it again in 2028. But it was, you're getting now, you saw the best ever in the water at distance swimming with Katie Ledecky, the best female gymnast of all time, and Simone Biles winning gold, securing her place in history. And, number 6, and this is really where maybe the most impressive person. I expected this from Ledecky and Biles, but Sydney McLaughlin, I forget the last name, but maybe the new face of women's track. I have never, her level of focus, she looked like a Terminator out there, and I think that leads into maybe what we'll talk about next, maybe the Noah Lyles situation. But what I was so impressed with Sydney, beyond the fact that just the separation, there's no one even close. There's no one even close in the hurdles, and makes me wonder if she'll actually run the 400 meter, because her 400 meter hurdle was, arguably, from what they were saying, faster than some people's open 400 in the competition. And just a Terminator, just so focused. I know I've always been a big fan of, I don't mind some trash talk. I think you have to earn it at some point, but if you're going to trash talk, you better be able to back it up. But she just was about the business. And even in victory, there isn't a lot of boasting. Everyone's got a different personality. And I know there's entertainment in sports as well, but really just love the focus and the Terminator level of approach that she had to these games. And I was blown away by her hurdle performance, how relaxed, and just also she opened up the 4x400. She opened up a lead that you rarely ever see in a relay race. So just truly next level performance. You have to watch the Sydney McLaughlin. Again, I'm sorry, I'm saying the names wrong. Had to jump in quick and get this in. But you got to check out her 400 meter hurdle and also the 4x400 meter relay. Just some next level performances. The whole team was incredible, but she really stood out to me in this Olympics with just the focus. You can just see it, that some people are just able to stay in the moment, stay present, and focus in. in the highest ways. And she was just the personification of that. Then it goes into kind of the whole Noah Lyles thing. Look, he won the fastest man in the world title. Having watched it, I guess some could say it was kind of a lucky win. He won with the lean of the torso. I think the Jamaican runner was stronger through all the heats, and maybe you run that 10 times and he wins 9, but he pulled it out. And a lot of shit talking. I think in the case of Noah Lyles, again, like seemingly kind of taking on the role of wanting to be like a Usain Bolt, where there's a lot of, there's a lot of talking, and it gets people to watch, right? And they either love or hate you. And, I think in this case, obviously, he gets bronze in his best race, the 200 meter, the whole COVID controversy. And then now, I guess a couple of days later, he's dancing at the club again. I can't really get into all that. You never know what's going on with someone. Obviously, he had asthma, which makes a condition like COVID worse, but still won gold in the race he wasn't supposed to win. Still got bronze in his best race. But I do think from just objectively, he seems to also turn off his teammates on the same nation. So, it's just one of those things. Maybe the approach for him is just, let me just do my thing and let my work and the results do the talking. I don't think it helped his cause. I think it put him in a position where even if he won everything, people would still talk shit about him because of all the shit talking leading up to this. And I also watched, there was a Netflix series called Sprint where they were documenting the U.S. track athletes getting ready for, the Worlds, the Olympic trials, making it to the Olympics. And then throughout it, you could just see like he was rubbing everyone the wrong way with the tactics. And there was even a clip in it where like Usain Bolt is saying, I like the energy and stuff like that. And I think he may have like, if Usain Bolt thinks I'm doing the right thing, I'm going to just double down on it. Maybe less is more with the shit talking. And, because again, I guess internationally, it comes off as arrogance. And especially if you're not able to win gold in all the events, that just set yourself up for failure. And I don't think he needed to. He's obviously wildly talented, and that was kind of maybe the one unfortunate part about the Olympics is that there was this kind of sideshow, and I don't think there needed to be. But who am I? I'm just some guy at home watching. But for having watched a lot of games, and again, like Usain Bolt is Usain Bolt. Like I think about some of the guys who've talked a lot, across sports over the years, Ali probably being the best example, but Ali was different. Usain Bolt was different. Not to take anything away from Noah Lyles, but these were like generational, once in a lifetime type of talents and personalities. I think if you're trying to be that, it comes off like you're going to fall short, and it's maybe a little inauthentic and not required, man. You got all the skills in the world, and I wish you the best. Hopefully in 2028, you can put it all together. But still won 2 medals, and unfortunately, though, wasn't able to compete in the 4x100 meter relay, and then they got disqualified because they were mixing guys in and out, and they botched one of the handoffs of the baton. So Damon says, aside from the 4x100 finals, from the men in track and field were great. Sydney McLaughlin Lavrone, that's right, is phenomenal. Yeah, husband and wife duo. I guess her husband's like one of her trainers. We saw some of that behind the scenes. Former NFL player. But, the 4x100 finals and also the 200 meter, because Noah Lyles basically, again, like he had said, like, I'm going to win this after winning the 100 and then got third with COVID. Obviously, there was a huge celebration before the 200 meter race. And then he finishes third, and then he's in the wheelchair and getting medical help. So a lot of people are suspicious of, whatever it is. Again, I don't know. Yo, Gary, what's up, man? Hope you enjoyed the Olympics. So, but yeah, that was just unfortunate. I think Noah Lyles will hopefully do a little internal assessment, and don't have to come in so hot pre-event, pre-game. Let your competition and your performance do the talking, and we'll see what happens from there. But that was kind of the I guess a lower point in the Olympics, because again we really wanted to see him get that double because I think 2 people have done it. Carl Lewis and Usain Bolt winning the 100 and 200 in the same race. And was also crazy too is he was talking about this post event, like you don't realize, like, because none of us can run that fast. Like, none of us know what it's like to run that hard, because you need a certain level of fitness to get to the point you can run that hard, like a true sprint. To get sore from like a single sprint, like the next day you're still sore from a single sprint, it's kind of like mind blowing, because most of us couldn't get sore from doing something once, but the intensity required, I get, just some perspective, like how difficult that is, and also just how tough it is. You still have to be on that day, and with 100 in particular, the start is so important. So you get a slow start, or you're a little bit tight, anything can happen. So, I mean, it really is. We'll see what Noah Lyles does in 2028. I'm wishing him the best. And I guess controversy, the whole Jordan Childs thing was just like, for both sides, essentially, like they're taking away the bronze medal. But at the actual event, I forget which country won it. One country won bronze, and she was celebrating out on the floor celebrating. And then they did they contested it. The U.S. contested it, and then they took the bronze medal away from that woman who won, and then Jordan Childs won, which is great for U.S. But I mean, like that's just an awful scenario. Like, no one should ever have, unless obviously you cheated, PEDs, whatever. But like, no one should ever have a medal taken away from them. That's got to be fixed. That was kind of disgusting to watch. And then now them taking away Jordan Childs' bronze medal, because apparently the contest, now they found almost a week later, the contest was 4 seconds later. So now they disqualified the contest. That just messy, and it's unfortunate. Both athletes, I think, deserve to be bronze medalists based on the mistakes made by the judges, the committee, etc. Hopefully they fix that up, but that's just really unfortunate, man. I mean, it's every 4 years, and it's not guaranteed to get another one of these, because again, just for most of these athletes to stay at this level of commitment is just brutal. And many of these sports are very obscure and not looked at during anything but the Olympics. So to get sponsorships or to have to work multiple jobs just to support yourself while training full-time as an Olympic world-class athlete, brutal to watch. And hopefully they can figure that out. Both of them deserve, I think, to get the bronze medal. And no one should ever, they got to figure that out. Like, no one should ever have a medal taken away from them, especially broadcasted to the world on TV. That was just really hard to watch. Now let's get to, there's two races, I think, that really just, I think the men's 1500 meter and the men's 400 meter races just were so competitive and had incredible comebacks down the stretch in the final 100 of the races. You got to watch these back if you haven't seen them. The men's 1500, I'll start with. Essentially, the Norwegian runner was the favorite. He came out and set the tone the whole race, which, and he was doing a lot of shit talking too. And he had a rival that he was focused on the most, and didn't even consider or really see Cole Hawker, who ended up winning it with an incredible comeback performance down the stretch. But did lead the race. I always respect the runners who go out there and just try to, win start to finish. It's really fun to watch. And even though it can set you up for being overtaken in that final stretch, because, people are pacing and waiting to make their move. It gets really physical as guys and gals try to pivot for positioning, try to get what they call the rail or the inside point. Gary Seen had the 1500 meter was incredible. First of all, it's essentially a mile. It's 100 meters short of a mile, but 4 laps. In terms of fitness, it's hard to argue that the mile is the standard of one's aerobic cardiovascular fitness, right? Because it's not the true distance of a marathon, right? And you got to have the guys and gals who tend to win. They have to have a sprint kick typically in the end to find a way and shift from aerobic to anaerobic and pull out a race. And just to see Cole try to make his first move, get blocked by the Norwegian, and then come back again, and then just basically pull it from his nuts to win that race was incredible. And to see also when these guys hit a wall where they can't run any faster, and then a couple other people can find a way, just incredible. These races are great to just kind of especially if you can find it on YouTube, just save it to the watch later list, looking for motivation pre-workout and just seeing what effort truly means when someone really wants it. That's where that 1,500 meter race stood out. And also the U.S. also got bronze in that as well. Apparently we had not been doing well in distance as of late. So, gold and bronze performance. And the 400 meter men's final, Quincy Hall. I mean, like usually, and again, 400 meter race is maybe the most exhausting thing anyone can do. People that have never ran a lap as fast as they can and they try to do it. Typically, the funny thing that happens is they'll empty the tank the first 100 or 200 meters, and the monkey jumps on your back and you're done. Like that's the thing. When you don't pace yourself, once you're gone anaerobically, you're done. You can be like gone aerobically and pushing your lactate threshold and still find a kick. So from a training fitness standpoint, it's just amazing. And sometimes like it doesn't make sense or it's counterintuitive. Like it doesn't make sense that someone who leads the race the whole way would be too exhausted by someone who's been running slower, who then has to create all of this energy to make up that distance and overtake the person. But it happens time and time again. And then we don't know what needs to be taken into account with the previous races as well. But Quincy Hall, I've never seen someone muscle their way to a finish line in a sprint event like that, because I still consider a 400 meter sprint. It's less than a minute. These guys are clocking anywhere from like 42, 43 seconds, 44 seconds. And he was way back. I want to say like fifth, and I think Cole Hawker was too in the 1,500 meter. But you got to watch the effort down the stretch. Like he's literally muscling. He's got nothing, and he's muscling his way to the finish line. That maybe stood out to me as like the gutsiest performance of the entire Olympics. Quincy Hall, 400 meter men's final. Watch what he does down that home stretch, and barely wins at the end, but just the strain on his face, which typically you won't see in some of the guys, the athletes who win these races. Their form is so relaxed, and you think Michael Johnson on the 400 meter, like it's just smooth sailing the whole way, but he just wanted it so bad. That was just that really stood out. Maybe 11th point here, the U.S. women's track. Wow. Gary's saying it's amazing to see how these runners will summon the anaerobic reserves when they need to. No, it really is like, and again, if you don't run these, and again, what we hope everyone takes from this too, someone who runs a fitness channel is trying to motivate people to move and get engaged with their exercise and their health, etc. Like, take the motivation, take on some challenges. Maybe you want to get on the track. Maybe you want to get in the pool. Whatever it is that kind of motivated you, you can take to whether it's recreation or just training for. It does help you stay the course. It does help you give some focus if you're losing focus and you don't want to just focus on losing weight or looking good or whatever that is. Athletics give you a reason to do the stuff you don't want to do or can't get up for on a regular day. When you're tired, frustrated, unmotivated, having something that you're connected to, that you're pushing for, helps. And but the women's track was just incredible. It was unfortunate that Sha'Carri couldn't win the gold in the 100. I think she just had a tough race. It was a bad start. And I also think she may have taken on a little bit too much pressure. Again, the pressure put on these athletes is outrageous. And I still think she could be argued for as the fastest woman in the world, but she more than made up for it in the 4x100 meter relay. Obviously, the whole Vin Diesel look, where she caught up to she was the anchor leg on the 4x100 race, and caught up, did a full side look, and just zoomed past like the road runner. And I really hope she does the 2028 games. I hope she wins the double. I'm not necessarily the double, but wins the 100 and maybe takes on the challenge of the double. Or I think she has the talent and the tenacity to be the fastest. But she was absolutely incredible. And the relay teams by the women, I mentioned with Sydney in the 4x400 meter race. Gabby Thomas was incredible, winning the 200 and just winning with exceptional leads. So they look poised to have an amazing 2028 games. And, wow, the women's track, USA women's track team blew me away. And it was unfortunate too that I guess you could say got lucky in the sense that the Jamaicans just collapsed in sprint this year. I think their top three women sprinters left with injury or unannounced reasons. The men's track also kind of fumbled a bit. Typically the best sprinters in the world. So they obviously are going to come back ferociously in 2028. So Gary says he thinks Sha'Carri's going to come back stronger and better. I think she will too. I think, again, she just looked tight. She looked like she was not having her typical fun. And by the way, this happens to all the greats at some point. People think Michael Jordan never choked. Well, Michael Jordan did choke in his retirement comeback. He got ousted by the Orlando Magic. LeBron James admittedly he said it himself. He choked against Dallas in the finals. And we're talking about some of the greats of all time. Pressure, you never know what it's like until you receive it. And when you're in it, and once you're mentally fucked, the body just can't do what it does. And so, but it does make you stronger, and you'll come back with a level of resolve. So I'm really excited to see what she comes back with. But I just shout out to the whole women's track team. Just crushed it. I love watching those relays. There's just something about the passing of the baton. And unfortunately, the men's relay teams didn't do as well. That happens. But I know Carl Lewis was pissed. He's like, they got to do a whole overhaul. Maybe Carl Lewis comes back and coaches. We need Carl Lewis to coach and lead our men's sprinters back to the top there. But, man, incredible. The Swedish pole vaulter, I guess unfortunate in the sense that he is American-born, LSU grad, but he represents the Swedish team. Both his parents are his coaches. They showed all these highlights of this kid, because his mom was a pole vaulter competing in the Olympics, and they built like a makeshift, kind of like what the whole Olympic spirit about or athletics are about is it starts for most of these people. Yeah, they're born with these amazing God-given gifts, but they start so young, and they show like the progression of his backyard. They built him a custom pole vault set up and keep progressing and building, and getting the world record, continually pushing the height on the bar. That's just an incredible event. It seems so dangerous to me and just so technical. But like someone that was literally, he saw what his mom did, and his parents committed to like training him for it. And I mean, literally just, it's a lifetime commitment to being the best for a single moment. Incredible performance by Mondo and the pole vaulting. Number 13, the Chinese diving team. Wow. I mean, we talked about how like people like Simone and Katie Ledecky and Sydney just separate themselves from the competition. The Chinese diving team, I mean, the diving in general is basically like water gymnastics in a way, right? I mean, they have to do gymnastics while they're airborne and then find a way to create no splash while landing from these ridiculous heights with incredible power being produced. But those Chinese divers are just different. They just, and also the physiques, incredible physiques in these divers. But that really stood out. I know nothing about diving. But when I was watching the best in the world get together and just see how much further along, it was like men's basketball in the 90s in terms of how much further the Americans were along. But like in diving, the Chinese divers are just, they're just at a whole different level. And you can start to see just like the small differences required, like having to land perfectly vertical, creating no splash off the bottom, and then going at speeds of like 30 miles an hour and having to so forcefully enter the water, but narrowly not to create the splash, and how like it really like tears up their shoulders and arms because of the impact forces. Yeah, Gary's saying the precision is crazy. Damon says Rye Benjamin's gold in the 400-meter hurdles was great too. Yes, it was. And the 110-meter hurdles was also great. I mean, that maybe that's the most impressive. Is that the most impressive like race in the sense that, again, to have to pick up your leg at those speeds required in a 100-meter race? I couldn't clear a single hurdle. So it can make you feel bad about yourself. It can also just like, well, anything's possible. And so that was amazing. A couple other points here to finish out. The repechage. repechage. It's hard to say that word. I liked that concept of giving, because again, these are every 4 years. So much is on line for these people, and the ability to kind of get like a do-over race. And again, it's not like it's an advantage, right? To have to run an extra race at a peak effort just to make it to the finals. But it was fun to watch those repechage races, and if someone's able to end up winning, having to do an extra race and then find a way to win, that's going to be an amazing thing to watch moving forward. And I guess it was kind of an experimental. They didn't do it in every race; it was just a few races. But I really like that concept of getting that, because again, like you have a bad start, or you have a bad morning. Who knows? But that was kind of a highlight to me. I love that concept of giving these amazing athletes who get to only come every 4 years another shot against against the field. Again, there's no advantage to having to go through that. One thing that was interesting is we had a couple of people that had an injury that decided to just lose the entry-level races, give themselves a couple days before the repechage, and then turn on the jets, giving them a couple days to heal. And it actually worked out for a couple of the competitors. So that was a lot of fun. I hope they continue that and maybe expand it to some different events as well. Love the mixed relays. And it was unfortunate for the U.S. They broke the world record in the semifinals heat, and then they lost in the finals, but they still had the world record. But seeing the mixed men and women event is a lot of fun. The way they both in the pool and on the track, I loved watching it, and deciding who takes which of the 4 spots. Again, I think the relay is like the ultimate Olympic event, right? It's because it's a blend of individual and team, and there's something just awesome about the passing of the baton, at least on the track. Really love the mixed relays. And by the way, guys, if you're jumping in, let me know what your favorite events were, favorite moment of the games were. 16th and final highlight is, and again, selfishly, I live in California. This might be the only time I can ever go to the Olympics. So the LA Games in 2028, if you watched the closing ceremonies last night, you saw Tom Cruise do some stunts to bring the Olympic flag back to Hollywood. Snoop, Dr. Dre, Billie Eilish, and Red Hot Chili Peppers did a nice little performance as well in Long Beach. But this is exciting. And, we're 4 years away from it. I already signed up for the newsletter for updates because, what's interesting is a lot of people that I know in this area who have talked about the games have said, "Oh, I'm not going to be here for the. I'll be sure to not be in LA during the Olympic Games." But it's also, this is such a unique opportunity, and they're also going to be making it a no-car event, and they're going to get the public transit up to speed so that you can avoid the ridiculous LA traffic and get there by bus, train. So that's exciting, and my mind is on it. I've never been to an Olympic Games. This might be the only time I can ever go. It'd be nice to make it to a Super Bowl at some point, maybe an NBA Finals game. Those are unlikely, if I'm just being honest, but it does look like there's a possibility I can get to the Olympic game. Maybe I can find a way to, through this channel, do some coverage. But I'm excited about it, and I'm going to try to plan it and see if I can make it, because as great as it is on TV, some of those events must have been next level in person. And though I will say, I thank God for television. The amazing, these competitions that we could never have seen otherwise. I know it's TV has been around for a while. Correct. Damon says, Sifan Hassan's performance in the women's 5,000, 10,000 meter races and gold medal, also very impressive. Yeah, I did catch some of those. Those long distance events were unreal to watch. And again, the exchanging of leads and just the endurance, I don't understand it. I can't wrap my mind around it. Track and field, the wrestling, Gary saying archery. It was an incredible game. So I thought this was the best games I ever watched. I'll never forget it. The moments, there's motivation for a lifetime. And I guess I'd encourage you guys, if you can make it to the LA Games, this is, I don't know when the next time the U.S. will get it, but if you're around my age, what a great opportunity to go and see the best athletes in the world, while you can still and have perspective of watching all the games previously up until that point, and still be very athletic and move and enjoy yourself like that. I think it'll be fun to watch. So just wanted to jump in, give a recap, some highlights that really stood out. I'll run through it again quick here. Number one, the Celine Dion opening performance. Check out her documentary as well. I am just kind of mind-blowing as she battles stiff person syndrome and still finds a way to want to sing and perform. It'll give you some perspective, and I think it'll make you never want to take your health again for granted. Number two, the USA basketball, men's and women's, that incredible Steph Curry performance that I don't think we'll ever see again. Number three, Léon Marchand having the French version of a Michael Phelps performance in the pool. Katie Ledecky cementing herself as the greatest of all time, and women's distance swimming, Simone Biles, greatest of all time, and women's gymnastics, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, and the 400-meter hurdle, and maybe the new face of women's track in the U.S. Just Terminator level of focus and just red light performances from her the whole games. Noah Lyles' ups and downs, the whole bronze medal controversy with Jordan Chiles, 9 and 10, the 1,500-meter and 400-meter men's finals, where Cole Hawker and Quincy Hall had some of the greatest comebacks in the final stretch you'll ever see. USA women's track had a games for the ages. The Swedish pole vaulter, world-class performance by Mondo, LSU grad, American-born. That was a little child, manufactured from childhood all the way through. And again, if you have kids, you see you can be gifted and you can work at this to a level that few can do, but there's something special from the ages of 6 to 12. If you're active in a variety of sport, you own that for the rest of your life. And you see it in him and a lot of these athletes, encouraging your kids to get active with sport when they're young in those ages and try a bunch of different sports. Will give them an athletic movement foundation that they can use for the rest of their life. It helps a ton with learning how to manage stress and pressure and overcoming obstacles and getting the resilience you need for life. I'm here in a lot of ways today because of the resilience and persistence and discipline I built through sport. And I highly recommend getting your kids involved in sports, and also just the social intelligence you develop, especially in team sports. Chinese diving team is different. Check out some of those dives, the form, the power, the positioning, the physiques, just incredible performances. Repechage, hopefully they expand that in the next games. The mixed relays, hopefully they build upon that. And then finally, looking forward to the 2020 LA games. I appreciate you guys coming through on this live pod. Lots of great stuff coming down the pipeline. Launching YouTube memberships, 9/1/24. Help us keep the lights on. Help us make this even better moving forward. We need your support, and stay tuned for that. 3-tiered levels of membership based on budget and what you're looking for. Everything will continue as is here, giving you guys the best fitness content I can on the daily, but we're going to try to bring it to a whole new level. And we do need your support in helping us keep the lights on and keep improving what we're doing here as well. And then check out our Gorilla Corn protein powder and coffee if you want to look into to be productive as fuck all day long and maximize your gains in the gym. Links and that in the description. Any questions to finish out here? Let me see. Oh, the breaking. I wasn't able to watch as much of the breaking. I did see and it's no shade to Australia, but I did see the Australian performance that went viral. Look, man, breaking started in the Bronx, and the world is now being exposed to it, and they're going to go through their learning curve of just like we did with soccer, right? And the world did initially with basketball. The world's going to catch up in breaking. And by the way, the other countries in the world, diving, gymnastics, those types of activities, similar skills physically required to be good at breakdancing. But obviously there's the swag, there's that whole hip hop culture. So I have to watch the gold medal performance in breaking. I had that queued up. Everybody, by the way, was talking about the gold zone on Peacock, where you could see all the events simultaneously. I think that I rarely, apparently it was considered the single best streaming performance in the history of the world. what Peacock and NBC collectively did during the games. I don't see if there's any other questions. So again, lots of great content coming in the pipeline, more lives, more podcasts. Stay tuned for YouTube memberships. And what new events? Damon's asking. So I'll end on that. Actually, I don't really have any new events that I'd like to see. I guess at some point they maybe should. MMA would be an interesting thing to see. There's a lot of international competitors in MMA. That would be an interesting Olympics event. I don't know if they could ever pull it off because I feel like there's be some politics involved with the UFC. But MMA would be really interesting. I don't think it'll ever happen because essentially it's rugby. But I guess American football would be interesting as well. I mean, again, that would be asking a lot of the world because, that is a uniquely American game. But again, that's also my bias as an American in terms of what games I'd like to see. But MMA, I think, globally would be a fun event to add. Not fun for the competitors, but at least fun for the viewers. Because that would be like a true gladiator. Because, the boxing in the Olympics, it's not like boxing outside of the Olympics. They have head gear on, which I'm all about safety. But I guess the true Olympic Games would have like a true gladiator level competition. I feel like MMA would be a really interesting addition. I just don't know if they'll be able to pull it off. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. Appreciate a like, share, subscribe, and hope you guys enjoyed these games and get ready for the 2028 games. It's on my bucket list now. I'm going to try to find a way to get there, and maybe I'll do some stuff through the channel here at some point. I know it's a long ways away, but this game was inspiring. I'm grateful for it. I feel like it reinvigorated the Olympic spirit. And Gary's saying chess. There you go. Some mental Olympics. That could be great too. I appreciate you guys who tuned in live. Gary, Damon, Jeff. Means a lot coming through during the dog days with some of your guys. So enjoy the rest of your summers. We'll be back with more. Peace.